Welcome to The Map. I'm Tubes Taylor. We've got a huge show coming up next. Jackson Hills from the Tasmanian Football Council is here. We've got Jake Briggs from the DOSA Footy Club, Daniel Willing from Lindisfarne Football Club, a new segment called Holy Trousers. We've got highlights from the development series for the STJFL and, of course, Furphy Player of the Week. All that and more coming up next here on The Map. So on my left we've got Jackson Hills from the Tasmanian Football Council. Thanks for coming in, taking the place of Peach today, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tubes. Looking forward to the show.
Excellent. And on my right, the coach of the Lindisfarne 2 Blues, Daniel Willing. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers, Tubes. Great to be here.
Big win for you guys by 111 points out there at Anzac Park, mate. How did you see the game?
Yeah, pretty happy. The first half was really encouraging. We haven't been playing overly well, but the defensive part of our game was really strong early. We laid close to 50 tackles in the first half, and that allowed us to get our offence going off the back of that, so I was pretty happy.
In the first half, I think, particularly the first quarter, I thought Sorrel really came at you early, trying to play their fast-running game.
Yep, yeah, they did, and we were ready for that. We'd got some info to say that they've been playing some pretty strong, fast football, particularly with their ball movement. So we needed to make sure we started well and put them under pressure, and we were able to do that. And because we're pretty good on offence, when we can get enough ball in our hands, we were able to score off the back of that. Unfortunately, we weren't overly accurate, but we were able to keep the ball in our front half.
Jacko?
Dan, just on that, given the result, quite a big scoreline there. Is it full squad? You have full strength at the moment?
No, we've still got about 3 or 4 out. We've lost a couple of midfielders early on, and that's a couple of inside mids, and we had to restructure our midfield a bit. So that was what was most pleasing on the weekend. Our midfield really drove everything we did around defence and then got on the end of it on offence. So to be able to change it around when we lost those 2 inside mids, to get the result we got was pretty good.
And in fairness, your back six has been really good all year. You said to me before the game that the bye probably came at a good time for you, but your back six has been pretty solid. Yeah,
the back six have been really solid. Our defensive structure's been pretty good. We probably had 8 or 9 guys roll through there, and they've all played some really good footy. We probably just haven't put enough pressure on the front half of our ground, and we'll put them under pressure. If you look at the scores, we haven't been scored against. We just haven't been able to score going forward, and a lot of that's to do with the execution of our skills, but we were pretty good with that on Saturday.
Speaking of scoring, Michael Cassidy kicked a few.
He kicked 7-9.
And one out on the full.
He may have kicked one out in the full, I think, as well, and but he was super. He got some pretty good ball, particularly in the first half, so credit to our mids, but he took, I think it was 20 marks, 9 out of 20 marks, so he definitely got a look at it, but I think he got that nervous in front of goal towards the end. He was wheeling and playing on instead of going back and having set shots, so he probably needs to work on that. His first 3 games went great. He didn't get a lot of shots on goal, so we'll do some work on it. I
thought the Bateman brothers, Isaac and Joey Bateman, who was playing down back on Cass, I think although he got beaten on the day, I think there's positive signs for Sorrel Footy Club with their young players that they're bringing up through their defence and their midfield.
Yeah, I think you would have learned a lot playing on someone like Cass, who's obviously played at a high level for a long time. And I think from what I've been told, the young guy that played him has played forward every other game, and they give him the challenge to go and play on Cass. And he probably didn't get a lot of one-on-ones with Cass. I thought they rolled a lot of numbers back in front of Cass, and at some stages it looked like that was hindering him a bit. He wasn't sure whether he should be going and spoiling or waiting for them to fold back. But it'll be a great experience for him to play on someone like that. He would have learned a lot.
And did you put much into your opposition as far as, Jamie Curran's a superstar. He kicked 3 goals in the end and probably kept the scoreline somewhat respectable, I guess, because at half-time they only had 2 points. Do you put research into blokes like that?
We do. We do every week. It's something that I'm pretty strong on, the planning part and the preparation. So we do most of our work during the week. We don't have a lot of team meetings on game day. It's mostly done during the week, and I give them as much info as I can on the opposition. And we'd heard that they'd been playing some pretty fast footy, and they've got some quality tools in their side. So we're really mindful of being able to bring the ball to ground. And young Jack Johnston, who's their captain, he's really skillful young player, and if he gets hold of the ball, we can chop you up. So we put a bit of work into him as well.
I think Ryan Gregson and Blair Fazackley had a pretty reasonable battle there in the ruck in the early stages, but Blair's looking terrific again this season.
He is. His tap work is sensational. We won centre clearances plus 15 over the day, and that was off the back of his ruck work. And I think around clearance we might have been plus 12 or plus 13, and you know, his ruck work's outstanding, and he would have learned a lot playing on Jason Laycocker 3 or 4 times last year, and he held his own in a couple of those games. And yeah, he's close to 200. I think he might be 200 centimetres, and he scoops the ball up off the ground like a midfielder. He's pretty unique.
Yeah, Dan, just one for me, mate. I mean, a scoreline like that, is there much you can take out of that game to work on this week with the boys? And where do you think you are with your gears? Can you still go a bit higher?
Yeah, there is a lot to take out of it. Like Tube said, the bye came at a good time. We weren't playing well. We just needed a chance to reset and change a couple of things around the way we train and the way we play. And so definitely the first half, the defensive part of our game was really on. And you know. Tactics come and go in footy, and every coach is trying something new all the time, but we probably thought we weren't doing the basics well enough. You've still got to win the ball, you've still got to use it well, and we did that much better. I thought the third quarter, we really dropped off a bit with our work rate, so we only laid 7 tackles for the third quarter, and that's a barometer for us. If our tackles are up, we're usually playing pretty good footy. So we just got probably work on playing better for longer. But over the day, that's a massive step forward for us, given the way we were playing over the first 3 weeks.
Yep. 1 goal 9 in that third quarter. Was that Ben Van Kraanen's fault?
No, but Ben didn't get enough of the ball to kick 1 goal. To kick 1 goal 9. No, Ben had a better game. Ben had been out of form, and he knew where he sat. He got some pretty honest feedback, but his work rate was really high on the weekend. I think what some people don't know about Ben, you look at him, you might not think so, but he's actually extremely fit. He's got great endurance. He's playing a bit of a different role, so he knows where he's at, and he was much better on the weekend. But I think we shared that around. Cass kicked a couple of them, but we missed some easy goals running in through the arc that we would normally put away. So the third quarter was pretty poor, but we still got 10 shots on goal, so we were doing some things right.
We did catch up with Ben Van Kraanen at quarter time over at Anzac Park. Let's take a look. Thanks for joining us on the map there, BVK. Mate, a good start for your boys?
Yeah, pretty good start. We're trying to play pretty quick football as we normally do, so yeah, good start.
And what's the message there at quarter time?
Just keep hanging, keep kicking along to the forwards, Cass, and give us a chance to kick a few snags.
Cassidy's obviously a target down there, mate.
Oh, he always is, mate. You know, these big units, we've got to kick to him.
But their defenders are doing okay.
Yeah, they're playing really good football. Obviously, they're spreading the ball like we like to do, so we have to just defend them first and then attack and kick some goals.
Good luck in the next one, mate. So there we go, Ben Van Kraanen, one of our favourites here at Duff TV. Now, we also managed to capture the quarter time address by Jock McGregor. You know a bit about Jock and what he's got to do down there at Sorrel. He said to us at the start of the year that Sorrel are coming from a long way back. But he's developing the youth down there. Is that something? How would you do something like that with the Sorrel Eagles?
Oh, I think he's doing a fantastic job. Jock's an experienced coach, a very good coach. He's obviously a premiership coach, so he knows what he's doing. I think the biggest thing with him is he's honest. He knows where they're at, and I noticed significant difference on Saturday, even though the result probably doesn't say that. You know, if you look at the second half, we've won it by 4 goals, and you can see some significant difference in the way they were playing. They look much more confident, and I think he's done a really good job with them. They're definitely on the right track, and look, yeah, they're coming from a long way back, but it can change really quickly. And I think the things that he's got in place there, and the fact that he's playing a lot of kids, I don't think they're too far away. And their results prior to our game were pretty strong. They led Clam up by 4 goals at half time the week before and lost by about 5 goals. So pretty strong results. I think they'll be a team that will be competitive for most of the year. And I think with a young group like that, sometimes they can lose their way for a week or two after 4 or 5 pretty solid games, and I know we've done that in the past. But I think he's got him on the right track. He's the right person for the job for sure.
Well, Dan, thanks so much for joining us. For your troubles, mate, we've got a 6-pack of Furfies for you, mate, just for you. Now, I've heard that you don't need these after the weekend you've just had, so if there's any boys at Lindisfarne that want a 6-pack, just knock on the coach's door.
They won't get them.
Okay, fair enough. Dan Willing, thanks very much for joining us here on the map.
Thanks, guys.
Good on you, mate. Coming up next, we've got Jake Briggs from the DOSA Footy Club.
It's the map here, DOSA versus OHA. We've got Bain Shepherd here from the DOSA Football Club. Now, he's a very interesting journey with your career, Bain, and great to see you on the football field again. Give us a really quick synopsis, mate, of your journey so far. It's been a challenging one.
Yeah, so basically 3 knee recos. So 2 on the right, 1 on the left. First one when I was 16. And then the last 2 in the last probably 3 or 4 years. So, yeah.
What keeps you going, mate? It's a lot for, a normal person out the street to, do an injury and get back to work, but what keeps you motivated in coming back?
Love of the game, I guess. I owe a lot to the North Hobart Football Club, or back then it was Hobart City, Basically, Kane Richter sort of asked me to coach. I coached Sandy Bay under 14s 2 or 3 years ago now, and sort of progressed up the coaching ranks there. Became a development coach last year for Hobart City. So yeah, it was great. I was actually going to have nothing to do with football this year until I actually worked with Jake, who's obviously our coach. And he said, why don't you come along and have a kick? And I thought, why not? Have a bit of fun.
And how's it going so far?
Good, getting there. I'm very sore, but
well, we're just looking. There's a little bit of tape down there, but it's not too bad. So a little bit sore. Give us an idea, rundown, Bane, of the DOSA side this year. A lot of older guys. Just talking to Vici, he was going to take about 40 minutes to warm up, and there's a few other older guys, a lot of young guys too. What's the feeling around the club currently?
Yeah, the mix is good. I think we've got about 9 new faces, including myself. So it's really good to have that sort of environment, the mix of the young and old. So obviously the older blokes have got that experience. And the youthful exuberance coming through with the young boys such as Sam Frost and Jack Essendon.
Where do you fit? Are you youthful exuberance still? Because you haven't played a lot of football recently.
Well, I'd like to think I'm older. Yeah, so.
Okay, well, best luck today. Is there a coaching ambition down the future for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year was sort of to take a year off, or a year or two off, personally, to get my mind and my body right, sort of enjoy footy, get a few more senior games under my belt before I come back and have a solid crack at coaching.
Well, best of luck, Bane. Hope it goes well today, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
No worries.
Bane Shepherd there, joined by Peachy Roberts up at the TCA, where DOSA ran out victors over OHA by 8 goals. And we're joined in the studio by Jake Briggs, the coach of the DOSA Footy Club. Thanks for joining us, Jake.
Thanks, Tubes. Thanks for having me.
Big win for you this weekend, mate. Run us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great win. I mean, obviously the week before we got done by a point, so it's always fantastic to get a nice solid win. I think it was 48 points in the end, but yeah, no, it was fantastic.
Garvey versus Watts in the ruck. I don't know a lot about Watts because he's a rugby man, isn't he?
He is. He's come from the Taroona Rugby Club. He actually played his first senior game for us in round 1, and we sent him away with a few things to work on. And after watching footage from you guys last week, actually on Garvey, we decided to match him up with him this week.
Yeah, I thought he did really well. He's a big-bodied man, and Garvey is an informed ruckman in the Old Scholars Footy Association. I thought he did a really great job. Your ball movement through the middle, mate, you look really fast and really quick. You've got 9 new players at the footy club this year. How have you managed to mould those guys into your game plan?
Yeah, well, on Saturday itself we had 9 new faces, so you know, we've got a lot more than that, but yeah, having 9 new faces, you know, in the team, which have probably played a maximum of 3 games of footy together, it was big. With our pattern of play, we've been trying to do that throughout the pre-season, and that's something we've constantly worked on, and we continue to work on that. We've probably went away with working on our fitness through the pre-season and just tried to work on our ball movement, which it's going to take time, but you know, you can see in patches from last week to this week, it's starting to pay dividends already. But yeah, it's just a continue work in progress.
Just on all things new, Jake, how did you, I think it was your first game up at the TCA, the redeveloped TCA with the new turf up there, is that right?
It is, yes.
How did the boys find that?
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, the reports back, I went through the same situation when I was at North Hobart when they redeveloped that, and it actually was quite hard underfoot, but the TCA was actually quite soft and giving, which was fantastic. And it was about time too. I played enough football up there, you know, when the conditions weren't that good, and it was great to actually have it a decent service. Michael
Fisher and Caden Wilson had a bit of experience to your footy side.
They do, yeah. I mean, Caden's fantastic, as well as Fish, but Caden, probably because he's coached in his own right, it's a big help to me as well, and we kind of feed off each other a lot. So. They're 2 fantastic inclusions.
It was the 100th game of one of your stalwarts around the club there, Snowy Junior.
Yeah,
what can you tell us about him?
Well, yeah, Snowy, when I first got to the club last year, everyone spoke to me about Snowy and said how good he was in terms of his ball use and his speed and everything, but maybe, you know, he needed to work on his physicality, I suppose, within that. And I think from last year to this year he's improved, and yeah, I mean, he's a great person just to have around the footy club, and he gives us that little drive, and yeah, he's fantastic.
And what's the expectation for DOSA Footy Club this year? I know that you guys are thereabouts every single year. Have you set the bar anywhere for the boys at the DOSA Footy Club?
Well, finals is our target to start with, so as long as we finish in the top 4, and then we'll assess it after that.
And you're speaking to me a little bit earlier about the youth in your side. DOSA traditionally, in my mind, have always been a bit of an old boys club where there's been a few players that are very talented, but on the probably the opposite side of 27, 30 plus. You've got some youth coming up through the Roosters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you touched on Fish and Wills, you know, being keys, and that's fantastic bringing those guys in, and it helps with, I suppose, the development of the younger guys that we have brought in as well. But blokes like Jackie Gesden, Sammy Frost, Bain Shepherd, even Damo Curtin, he was there last year. These guys are all exciting. We've also got an older guy that's come back, Kyle Chamberlain. He played, you know, he was a Tassie Mariner vice captain a few years ago. He's been in the footy wilderness really, but he's starting to, you know, find his niche as well. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Jake, I think Hutchins next week out at Queenborough is the next matchup, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So what should you expect, mate? I know they had a tight win over Uni on the weekend themselves by a point. What are you looking at in that game ahead?
Well, I mean, they got us in round one, so we had a fair few out then. We've built our side since then. I mean, they generally give us a really good contest, Hutchins, so we enjoy playing against them. Mitch has got them up and going, which is great, and we had a really good chat after round one, and he touched on that they weren't going to be, you know, at their best for probably 6 or 7 weeks either. So it's going to be interesting. We're looking forward to it.
This is a bit of a running thing with the old scholars. I find that most teams that come in and talk to us here at the MAP or talk to me at the footy have said, you know, oh, Tubes, we haven't got our full side in. We're missing a few here and there. Is that something that you're struggling with at DOSA, to get every single player together to have your best side out on the park? Or is there something deeper than that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a struggle. I mean, we knew about a fair few of our injuries and everything, that they were longer term injuries coming into the season. But I found since I've come back to play old scholars football is the fact that because the guys aren't probably training as often, they're not conditioned as well as what they are probably at state league level, that you know, injuries probably occur more frequently, and that's just a fact of footy. So.
Righto, well, we might leave it there, Jake, but mate, thanks so much for coming in and giving your time to us here on the MAP. I've got a special little 6-pack here for you of Furphy, some of the good stuff there for coming in, mate. All the best against Hutchins this week. Next up here on the MAP, we're going to cut to a new segment. Don't know what to expect here, but our man Peach Roberts is going to go with Holy Trousers.
Holy trousers, holes in your trousers.
How do we measure success of football in Tasmania? Is it draftees to the AFL success at underage championships or participation rates at junior level? Or maybe it's a progressive state league competition. Tasmanians love football and are intangibly engaged in its success. And like our fascination with the existence of the thylacine, we don't want to see the sport we love have a similar fate. In the 1960s, the Mercury stated that football was dying. With recent conjecture around the state league, we need to understand how to measure football. Is it all that bad, or are just being nostalgic about the return of the thylacine? AFL Tasmania measures success in a variety of ways, including participation, revenue, success at talent pathways, and viability of community football. My question remains, what should we measure success by? Let's not sit back like previous generations who watched the thylacine die out. Let's be the ones that make football great again and ensure that we can create an environment that allows Winnaleah and North Hobart football clubs to prosper while also ensuring the talented best can succeed at the highest level.
Well, a fair bit of stuff there from our man Peachy Roberts, a little bit of thylacine action, a little bit of Donald Trump stuff there, Jacko. What did you think of Holy Trousers for the first week?
Oh, I thought it was a very interesting segment, Tubes. You know, well done, Peachy, on that. And I think he makes some really interesting points. I mean, most people in the footy industry in Tasmania now are wondering what's going to happen next. And most people that have been reading the papers or watching the news will know that there's a fair bit being looked at right now, from state league right down to community football. So I think Peachy makes some good points about what should we be measuring. And I guess from our point of view at AFL Tas and other levels, we're really interested in not just the top end of the game. So, people focus a lot on kids getting drafted. I think one last year, 0 the year before, but quite a few in years prior. That's one measure. Another measure for us, though, is how healthy is the game at all levels. How many kids are playing. We're seeing accelerated growth in female footy at the moment, which is fantastic, but we have some pain in our youth pathway at the moment with the boys. And so putting some measures around that is going to be really important to make sure there's enough kids coming through to fill all these senior teams across the state.
So will the success come with more participation from grassroots footy?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's twofold though, mate. What we're finding, and we're out talking to a lot of clubs and a lot of leagues, there's two parts to it, I think, with the boys. It's building the base, so more kids in Auskick, more kids in school programs coming through to junior clubs. So that's a recruitment sort of side of it. But there's the retention as well. And so what we're finding is there's a churn out of every age group, as you know. And that starts right at Auskick all the way through the junior pathway. So the better we can create our junior football environment, the more kids we can retain on the way through.
Yeah, it's really important, I guess, to build that grassroots participation, but also retention, as you touched on there. And Peachy talks about measuring success in participation, revenue, draftees, and all that sort of stuff. But the success really is about getting more people playing footy.
Absolutely, and I think Peachy's point about measures is right though, because what it does is, data and that sort of stuff doesn't barrack for anyone, but it sets you a goal and tells you how you perform in each of the levels. And there's a lot of passion around footy at the moment, but also historically, and I think that's one of our strengths, but also sometimes can lead us down a path that might not be the right path. So for us, I think we need measures on some of the new directions that we're looking at, that the AFL Steering Committee is looking at. And that'll include things like the number of kids playing our game, the number of teams that we've got in each level of the pathway, but also things like, do we have enough coaches? Do we have enough umpires? Are our grounds in the right condition? Are our change rooms in the right condition for females playing our game? So these are some of the other things that need to be measured as well.
So your role as the head of the Tasmanian Football Council takes you all around the state, mate. Tell us about your week last week.
So interesting week, especially during footy season, because you've sort of got this task of meeting with leagues and clubs during the week, but everyone works and they're all volunteers, so a lot of that's done at night, as you can imagine. But then you've got the need to get to the footy on the weekend too, which is really good. It sort of breaks the week up. I spent most of my time in Launceston last week in the north. Obviously the Hawks played up there, but it was great to get out and see South Launceston, who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame in June. So, also caught some junior footy on the Sunday. So that's just a typical week.
Yeah, I saw some pictures on some Twitter feeds, mate, of West Coast footy. Were you down there?
No, I didn't get down there myself this time, but Barry Gaby, one of our team members from the Northwest, was down in Zeehan on Sunday, and we have a West Coast junior football competition that's been running down there for years, with the Roseberries and Queenstown and other locations, and they thrive on their footy down there, as you know, and it's great that that's still operating, and looking to try and support them a little bit more this year in terms of the fixture and some of their equipment and everything else.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Jackson Hills, thanks so much for joining us on the map, mate. I'm sure we'll have you back a little bit later on in the season. Okay, STJFL football now. We had the development series over the school holidays. It was the under-15s, the under-12s in the boys, and the under-16 youth girls battling here in the blue versus gold match at North Hobart Oval. We've got Bennett's Petroleum, Mood Food, and of course Cripps the Master Baker to thank for our vision here. Let's take a look at the highlights.
So here goes Bennett for his first and slots it straight through the middle. Great work there by the gold side. The high fives coming around everywhere for Tommy Bennett. Beautiful work there by Butler. Butler quickly into the middle of the ground. That's a great kick because he has a man running down there in Sheen, who drove it forward and found his teammate down there in Ling. Ling goes one way, then the other, back onto the left foot. Great effort there to kick on the left foot, over the back. Here's a chance now for Gapin. He dribbles it through. Smothered the kick there, big punch away by the defender. Here's a chance now for Baldock again, who sends it forward and sends it goalward. And he gets another one. So Owen Setchell, too far out to score. Sends a worm burner in, and it's chopped off nicely there by Riley Johnson, who's played really well in this last half. He goes out wide, finds a man down there in Mitchell. He gets tackled beautifully by Clothier. Let's take a look at that again from Mood Food. My goodness, what a ripping tackle. Boom, Supermaned it. And a great kick inside forward 50. No, free kick given, no. Chance here for Harper, got his handball away. Scrappy stuff down here. Fletcher Richards is down there, great tackle again. Bennett picks it up, uses his strength to get his handball away. Here's a chance over the back now for Williams. I think, is it? And it goes through for a goal. Was it Williams? No, it was Joey Baldock. And it was a ripping goal. Let's get another look at that thanks to Mood Food. Look at this effort. Huge amounts of pressure on the left boot. Goes through for a goal. Ripping goal there, Joey Baldock. That's his second for the day. And my goodness.
As that one's being tapped out. Well played by the Gold. They take possession now as they come back in toward the middle of the ground. And that is a mark by Dominic White. Gets it out further afield. I tell you what, anyone who wears pink boots, as far as I'm concerned, wants to play a cracker of a game because he's going to stand out. And there is Will Splann, but play the advantage as the Blue take full advantage of it. Comes out towards Bailey, Tyrone Bailey picks that one up. We're halfway through this last quarter in the STJFL Under 15 Crips the Masturbate Blue versus Gold Series. Chipping in there, just got one hand on that, was good play by Smith, trying to nullify this forward thrust by the Gold, but it comes out to that roving player, has a shot on goal, and wow, 2 forward thrusts have resulted in goals, and that was Darcy Gardner.
Clever touch, nicely worked down there by Ransom. She drives it forward, she's a superstar, Claire Ransom. Ball comes forward, quick dribble, did it stay in? I think it did. Prokopic wins the ruck, tap down, quick spin around the corner, no way! Goodness me! Gemma Webster, I think it is. Polly's there. Now she's got to use her pace, shrugs it beautifully, gets the handball off nicely, and then lays the Shepherd. Foster got a kick just. Abel gets it forward. And look at this string of handballs. Here we go, there's a chance for Ransom, who's a jet on that right foot and drills an absolute beauty from Claire Ransom. And she's just on a journey, I would have thought here. A nice kick, a beautiful straight drop punt to Olivia Brewer. And that is the first goal for Gold, hitting the Bennett's Petroleum scoreboard. Let's have a look at the Mood Food replay. Have a look at this for a kick. Not too close to the person on the mark, and it goes straight over the goal umpire's head. Magnificent stuff by Olivia from Kingborough down there. And thanks to Mood Food for the replay.
This week's Furphy Player of the Week goes to one man from Lindisfarne, the superstar centre-half forward, Michael Cassidy. He took 20 marks against Sorrel, 7 goals, 9. He had 3 players on him at times and they couldn't even get near him. So Michael Cassidy, get in touch with us here at Duff TV to collect your carton of Furphy. Old Scholars next week, it's round 5. St Virgil's take on OHA, Hutchins and DOSA at Queenborough, and University take on Richmond down there at University. In the SFL, it's round 6. Huonville take on Sorrel, Dodgers Ferry New Norfolk at Shark Park, Hobart take on Claremont up at the TCA, Brighton and Lindisfarne and Cygnet have the bye. That's all from us here this week. Until next week, we'll catch you around here on the mat. Who's this bloke?